emergency in progress is ours once more. Now that we have the neutron bomb, it's nice and quick and clean and get things done.
A Cold War is defined as an intense political, military, and ideological rivalry between nations short of armed conflict. So, in short, a war of ideologies was exactly what the Cold War was. It was between America and its capitalist ideology and the Soviet Union with its communist ideology. In 1945, some of the nation's leaders in World War II gathered together at an event called the Potsdam Conference. They all gathered to discuss the punishment of Nazi Germany after they surrendered in World War II. Other goals were like to establish the post-war order, peace treaties issues, and the countering effects of the war. In August 1945, in order to have Japan surrender, the U.S. dropped 2 bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, causing the end of World War II, as well as the deaths of 200,000 innocent people. In March 1946, Winston Churchill...
I'm Winston Churchill! Ooh! Would you like some tea?
...gave something called the Iron Curtain speech, which, since it was the end of World War II, was expected to be like, hey, we're awesome, we got World War II, blah, blah, blah. But actually, he was like, hey, we killed Hitler, right? But, you know, we still got this dude, Stalin, to worry about, and he's not really cool either. And then people are like, you're warmongering and you're fat, stop. And in 1947, Truman signed this thing called the Truman Doctrine, which said that the U.S. would support Greece and Turkey so they don't fall to the Soviet spear and communism. This is usually credited as the official start of the Cold War. This is really similar to the Marshall Plan, which was implemented by the U.S. To help support European economies after the end of World War II, and, you know, to prevent the spread of communism. The Berlin blockade was the first major conflict of the Cold War. After World War II, when Nazi Germany surrendered, Berlin was divided into 2 halves, East and West. East being controlled by the Soviets, and the West being controlled by the Americans. And then in 1948, the Soviets blockaded the Western's railway, road, and canal access to the sectors of Berlin. So in order for the Soviet zone to start supplying Berlin with all their supplies, so they can have control of the entire city. In response, the Western Allies organized the Berlin Airlift to carry supplies to the people of West Berlin. In the 40s, when the Soviets found out that Western powers had nuclear warfare, they decided to develop some of their own. Comecon was an economic organization under the leadership of the Soviet Union that compromised the countries of the Eastern Bloc, along with a number of social states elsewhere in the world. In 1949 in China, Mao Zedong's Communist Party would overthrow the Chinese government, and he would remain in power until his death in 1976. And then in 1954, the Soviet Union developed the hydrogen bomb, which has devastating effects. In order for some more support against the Eastern powers, the Western powers all got together and developed something called NATO, and then the Eastern powers in response were like, hey, we can develop a little gang too, so they developed something called the Warsaw Pact. The Korean conflict was a war of ideologies between the democratic South Korea, supported by the United Nations, and the communist North Korea, supported by the Republic of China and the Soviet Union. The year 1956 saw 2 uprisings, an uprising in Poland and an uprising in Hungary, which proved to be the first major threat against the Soviet Union. Sputnik was the first artificial Earth satellite that was made by the Soviets, and it paranoid the hell out of Jake Gyllenhaal in that one movie. The Vietnam conflict was an involvement of the U.S. into Vietnam in order to try to stop the spread of communism. It was a hugely unpopular war because of its huge failure to do so. In 1960, the United States sent a U-2 spy plane to go spy on the Soviets, but the Soviets shot him down, which caused, more deterioration between the foreign relations of the 2 powers. The Berlin Wall was built in 1961 in order to completely segregate the eastern population of Berlin to the western population of Berlin. The Bay of Pigs fiasco was in 1961, where the Americans tried to invade Cuba, but then got shot down after 3 days from the Cuban military under Fidel Castro. And then the Cuban Missile Crisis happened, where JFK was like, hey, I got some nukes, and then Fidel Castro was like, hey, Russia gave me some nukes, I'm pulling them right at you, and JFK was like, hey, I got nukes too, and they both had nukes, and then JFK got shot in the face. And then we went to the moon! Not because it's an amazing scientific advancement, but because screw you, Russia. You suck. The Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, or SALT, were two bilateral talks and corresponding international treaties between the two Cold War superpowers on the issue of armament control. The Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF, is exactly what it sounds like. It eliminated nuclear missiles, intermediate range missiles. Solidarity was a Polish trade union and was the first trade union that was non-communist in the Warsaw Pact. Gorbachev abandoned the Brezhnev Doctrine when he refused to use military force when Poland held free elections, and Solidarity defeated the Communist Party. And in 1987, this dude Ronald Reagan
the actor,
gave this speech where he was talking to Gorbachev, and he's like, "Hey, Gorbachev, this wall, I don't like it." And then Gorbachev was like, "Yeah, whatever, tear it down, I don't care."
Reagan smash! Reagan smash! Reagan sleepy.
START was a treaty that got rid of a bunch of the nuclear weapons. In 1991, Gorbachev stepped down as Soviet president, putting an end to the Soviet Union and making it the Russian Federation. The Cold War is interesting because it could have been the war to end all wars since its use of nuclear weapons. Thankfully, it didn't, but it did change war forever, because if this is the amount of time military history has existed, then this is the amount of time we've had the priorities to kill everyone on the planet. Kinda scary.
All my friends are dropouts, and all my friends are drug addicts, and all they spent skating, bumming, cigarettes, beer out, shoplifting for most of yesterday.